And Jennifer, it's wonderful to meet you. Thank you for taking a minute
Ah,
out of the show today.
all right. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
You bet. So before we get into your work, I want to know this. 5 years ago, this pandemic was changing so many things. How did you get through
Mhm.
that era, and how has it changed the way that you do things today?
Hmm. Yeah, that brings a lot up. So that was also the year that I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and the year my daughter graduated from high school, and we had a derecho here in the Cedar Rapids area. And during that period of time, my clients have always been my best medicine, but they were especially my best medicine in that period, whether they knew I was going through cancer or not. And it was in that period of time where I really, I would say, put myself more out there, and the uh, I was being prepared, I think, at the time to bring somatic awareness into my coaching work, and then thus to write the book that I wrote and published. That was in November of 2023. So there were changes happening that I was not even aware of that prepared me for for today. And I think that's probably true of a lot of folks that, lived through that pivotal moment, pivotal, not just a moment, but time in history for us
Yeah,
all.
yeah, for sure. So let's get into exactly what you do on
Hmm.
a daily basis with the mind body awareness and leadership. And to get a better handle, I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of 12-year-olds at career day.
Okay.
And one of the kids in the back of the room wants to know what you do for a living. How do you
All
answer that child?
right. Okay. I'm going to do my best here and feel free to jump in with questions. I tend to be kind of a big picture thinker,
Yeah.
and so sometimes I need help bringing it down. Keeping in mind a visual of a 12-year-old, I help people get unstuck. And I do that at the people that I'm working with are the leaders, the change makers, the people in our workplaces that really set the tone for the rest of the work that happens, creates the safe space where people can perform their best. So I'm really working at the intersection of somatic awareness and leadership, our work, the future of our work. And the specialty that I bring is the somatic awareness piece, because a lot of the majority of the clients that I meet really, stuck in their heads. Our culture encourages that.
Yeah.
The challenge there is that our bodies know before our brains do. So there is really an immense opportunity there for somatic awareness and the framework that I've created to help people apply this to their lives. It's called the 3N model. And the 3N's are notice, name, and navigate. Noticing is the most important part. And that's noticing the physical sensations that show up before we react, so that we have a moment where we can pause and respond instead of react. Viktor Frankl's quote about the space between stimulus and response, this is the space that we're talking about. And if people can notice that physical sensation and recognize it as a perceived threat, not a real threat, then they can navigate it using the prefrontal cortex, using their curiosity, their clarity, their co-regulation, all of the good stuff to make thoughtful, good decisions that will help us create a better future. Now, if we go into a threat response, we're going into a fight, flight, freeze. That's where we get stuck. That's where in a fight response, we're going to lash out at the stressor. And like in an office place, office setting, if someone lashes out at a direct report, that not only scares the direct report, it scares everybody that's present to that. And then your psychological safety, your trust, all of that is compromised. Now, in a flight response, that might look more like procrastination because we move away from the stressor. And, if I can just run from it long enough, it's going to go away. But that doesn't happen. And usually there's some collateral damage
Yeah.
in there. Now, the freeze response, that shows up in a number of different ways, but one that I want to highlight is people pleasing. And that is where, the threat, for whatever reason, and this has a lot to do with the experience that people bring with them into the workplace, their lived experience. So if the threat seems too big to fight or to flee from, freeze is what happens. Freeze is, we've learned this from observing animals, but literally freezing in hopes of your survival. An animal will freeze, play dead, so to speak. Now, what that looks like in the workplace and elsewhere too is people pleasing. So if I can make sure that you like what I do, that you're happy, that I'm more likely to survive. But that really doesn't serve either one of us because the people pleaser loses themselves in the process. You can't please everybody. And then in a leadership example, then the leader is not getting the information that they need to make important decisions. So everybody really stays stuck.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. When you were 12 years old, what was your
Mhm.
dream job? What did you want to be when you grew up?
Mm. When I was 12 years old, I I wanted to be a mom, maybe a nurse, maybe a teacher. And let me give you a little background with that. When I was 12 years old, that was way before the internet. I grew up on a family farm, went to a small school, and the nearest metropolitan area was at least an hour away, and it was a big deal to
Yeah.
get to go there. So what I knew to be available, I didn't have, I had a very limited view. In fact, my daughter, I volunteered for junior achievement and different things at her school. And she saw me one day and, she said to me, she said, "You look like an elementary school art teacher." And I'm like, and she's like, "Why didn't you do that?" And I said, "Because I was lucky. I was before the internet, and I was lucky enough just to be on the community college's mailing list. I didn't know a lot of this stuff existed.
Yeah.
Had I known of this, in some ways, I feel like, did I miss my calling as an art therapist, as a journalist, but you know what? When I graduated from high school, I went to the community college, and there was this one class that I really, really liked and felt like I was good at, and it was human relations. I'm like, what would I do with that?
Yeah.
Well, and so then I went off into tech career and so forth, only to become full circle back to really what I feel is my life's work.
So, who's been your inspirational force? Who's been your hero that's allowed you to navigate from those beginnings of what you thought you were going to do to who you've become and helping people and finding this career?
Oh, wow. I can't just name one because I have been so fortunate to have so, so many. My very first boss, I was the switchboard operator
Yeah.
at a brokerage firm. She saw potential in me when I couldn't see it in myself. So she helped mentor me. And that's where I went into telecommunications because I was told, and back then, that there's going to be a memo coming out that lists you as the backup to the system facilitator for the new phone system we're getting. Well, that turned out to be the greatest gift ever, but I didn't know anything about phone systems. Well, and I tell people I really kind of created my own custom apprenticeship because these techs, they taught me and I learned on the job. So in the telecommunications field, I learned everything from the cabling side, punching things down, to the programming, the call flow, to interpreting the data, helping leaders understand what that data meant, creating custom reports for them, writing Unix scripting to manipulate, how that data was delivered. I really got a big broad, canvas to work with. And then I also was in human resources for a period of time on the condition that I could bring my technical skills with me, and they let me do that. And thought more modern day thought leaders, uh, and how I got into coaching in the first place. There was an article in a magazine that talked about coaching. This was in the early 2000s. I recognized, so that writer was instrumental in my life
Yeah.
because I was like, wait a minute, that's me. So then I enrolled in Coach U, the world's first coaching school. And it's just been a non-linear path from there. All to, writing my book. I never imagined that. And I'm just getting home from having been invited to attend Thinkers 50 in London for the work that I'm doing with somatic awareness. Never imagined that.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So let me ask you this. If you can meet one person on the planet right now that you find absolutely fascinating or inspirational that might help you on your journey, have a lunch, have a talk, who would you love to meet and talk to?
Mm, just one?
You could have a round table.
I could have a round table. Okay, that would be good. I would list, Brene Brown is one for sure. And someone I met she received the Lifetime Achievement Award at Thinkers 50. And Linda, I hope I'm saying her last name right, Grayton. She wrote the 100-Year Life. And I had a chance meeting with her brief at Thinkers 50, and of course listened to her talk and was quite inspired when she said talked about the biggest thing that leaders are missing right now in life is calm. Well, and that's what my work helps them with, because when we can have a calm nervous system, we can think more clearly and make better decisions for the greater good.
So let me ask you this. You have to step into places when you help people where you have to take on some things that may not be positive, that could be quite negative.
Mm-hmm.
What is it that gets you up every day to do this work at a high level, to give them hope, to give them enlightenment, to protect yourself, to take care of your soul? What is that energy every day for you?
It's having seen and experienced the transformation of this work. It has transformed me, and I have seen it transform my clients. And that's why I want somatic awareness just in the hands of the people that can help spread it. Our change makers, our leaders that set the tone. And it is, we know a lot about emotional intelligence. I want people to understand that somatic awareness is just as important. And in many ways, it is the cornerstone of emotional intelligence because until you notice, you have to have that. You have to integrate the mind and body, and the body knows first. You have to be able to notice the physical sensation.
So, when did you know that this was your calling? Did you have a client? Did you have an epiphany? Did you have a moment? Because sometimes when we go through life, we don't really realize our calling until certain things happen. Was there a
Mm-hmm.
magnanimous moment for you like that?
Yes, there was, and that would be adding another person to my roundtable. The
Yeah,
work of Peter Levine.
yeah.
When I ran across his work with somatic experiencing, so he is working with people that what I distinguish as, the big T traumas and little T traumas. So big T traumas like our war veterans, people that have been in car accidents, rape victims, these kind of very, very serious traumas. And that's, I am working with what I would call small T traumas, the accumulation, things that have accumulated over time, those the people have been maybe so frozen that throughout life that they don't even realize how frozen that they are, but they're stuck. They continue to still bring those things into their lives, into their relationships, whether that's work or family, community. And when I ran across his work, it was like, wait a minute, that's a thing. I've been doing that naturally ever since as long as I can remember. It's like it comes to me as naturally as my next breath. And as I begin to learn more about his work, I'm like, this has a place in the business community.
So let's say you have a dream tonight. You ran into the 15-year-old version of you, and you walked up with a book in your hand, like a coffee table book, and it's just a complete overview of your life that you've lived, and you handed it to that version and said, "That's how your life turned out." Would that young version of you believe it?
I sure hope so. I sure hope so. And given my natural tendency for hope and to, trust the process and stay active in it, in many ways, I think that 15-year-old version, that's just what she needed at the time. Because it was a real struggle for me because my style, I'm a visual kinesthetic learner. And I was not, the style of teaching that didn't meet my needs. So I had to take on a lot of that on my own. And I kind of lightheartedly but seriously say to kind of illustrate the point, when I graduated, not only did I graduate with a diploma, but I also graduated with a doctorate in self-doubt that I have spent the majority of my life unlearning. And I'm finding as I work with clients that there's a lot of self-doubt out there.
Yeah.
And that when people can really engage their confidence, and the confidence, it lives in the prefrontal cortex. When we can see things differently, live differently, we change based on how we feel. So it's, what I'm giving people is an experience which matches I teach the way I learn. So try this. And they do. And they gain greater capacity. I just met with a client this morning and we were marveling together at the progress that she's made because she was so constricted and so stuck that when she first came to me, she just wanted me to tell her what to do. Just tell me what to do. And, as a coach, is my job, that's a consultant's role,
Yeah.
is to tell people what to do.
Yeah.
My role is to meet the client where they're at and help them move forward. So validation was a big piece of helping her move forward. That's a big piece of what I write about. And in my book, and that I like to teach people, not only in the workplace, but, parents, because we often, it's part of our wiring to survive. It's uncomfortable when there's a challenge to work through. But if we can notice that impulse to want to jump in and fix and listen to validate, then that's active listening. That's going to help the other person feel seen, heard, and believed. And what I mean by listening to validate is you're listening for their emotion. So if someone comes to you and they say, gosh, I'm just really feeling overwhelmed with this, or I'm really frustrated, I'm really angry. You're listening for them to tell you that. And you can, boy, that makes sense that you would feel angry about that. That helps them move along that continuum from the threat response to safety, curiosity, more openness, to maybe they even find their own solution, which
Yeah.
becomes very empowering, frees up the leader for more leadership visioning, and or they become more open to working with the leader to problem solve. So in this case, the leader could be a parent, could be a business leader, community leader.
So give everybody kind of an overview of your book, Somatic Awareness. Give them a kind of a preview.
A preview. Okay. It is, it's less than 100 pages by design. It's very much, to the point. And that's, I'm very happy about the feedback that I've gotten from people. They really like that it's a book they can pick up, get the essence of it, and apply it. And, and come back to it as often as it's very, very practical. And it can be consumed on a flight, on a train. It's very, very approachable. There's examples in it. And another kind of fun story around this book is that it was selected by Book Life for their cover crush selection because of the geometric nature of the cover. And this was, so I was going to go with a traditional business cover, and something about that didn't feel right to me. I'm like, no, this is a different kind of leadership book. The the cover really needs to reflect that. I had no idea that, what a difference that would make, and that the cover would be then selected, Book Life's cover crush.
Yeah, for sure. So let me ask you this. Speaking of your book and everything that you've done in your life, what are you
Mm-hmm.
ultimately the proudest of?
First thing that's coming to mind is my daughter,
Yeah.
because I have applied a lot of these skills to she's an adult now, and it's wonderful to see her thoughtfulness and her relationships with other people. And that all stems from the relationship that you have with yourself. So that's a big part of what I'm teaching people, is really to have, all other relationships come out of the relationship that you have with yourself. And so notice, name, navigate. Don't fight those parts of you that, all of those uncomfortable feelings. Oftentimes we try to fight them because we don't want to feel them, or we don't take the time to do, but that keeps us stuck.
Yeah.
Our emotions are energy in motion. They have a beginning, they have a middle, they have an end. And we need to process them. And we can do that incrementally. And that's what part of what I'm teaching, that, an incremental step for navigating would be, noticing that threat response, And then asking, is that unsafe or just uncomfortable? For some, that can be enough to calm the nervous system. Something as easy as taking a couple of fingers, resting them behind the ear, just down a little bit on the neck, which can be done very casually. You're in a meeting, feeling, some. I really specialize in teaching very simple, subtle techniques that can be done anytime, anywhere. I had someone ask me, "Do you have to have specialized training in this?" No, you don't have to take a yoga pose.
Yeah.
These are very simple, simple things that can be done undetected. Calm your nervous system in real time, and then you co-regulate better with other people.
Yeah. So, Jennifer, let me ask you this. Everyone has a perception of you, family, friends, clients, everyone that knows you, but you run the show. You're in charge. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
I'm going to answer that with giving you my top two values, which are faith and connection. And I hope that's what I feel like I am. And I hope that's what people are seeing in me.
What's the greatest thing about living in Iowa?
I was just talking with a client about this yesterday, and I would say that the seasonal changes.
Yeah.
And growing up on a farm, really got to see that. And this was the theme at Thinkers 50 was regeneration, which really spoke to my heart, having grown up on a farm. And it was all about leaving things better than we found them, breathing new life into them. And I see that we need that in our workplaces, and we can do it. And somatic awareness can help us do it.
So if anybody has questions, they want to hire you, they want to pick up a copy of Somatic Awareness, Leading with Body Intelligence, any of the good business in your world, where's the best place for them to go?
Best place would be my website, which is somaticallyaware.com, SOMATICALLY, aware.com. That would be the one stop shop. If they want a faster route to the book, Amazon, and searching either my name or Somatic Awareness Leading with Body Intelligence.
Wonderful. Jennifer, thank you so much. What a great story. I appreciate your time today. Best of luck with the book and everything else. I appreciate it.
Yes. Thank you, Joe. I appreciate your time. It was a pleasure to have this conversation with you.
It was wonderful. Thank you. All right, we are officially out, so thank you so much. I appreciate it. This has been
Yes.
great. Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you.
So have you been to Kansas City?
Wait a minute. No, I've been through Kansas, but I have not been to Kansas City.
Yeah, it's a fun city. Yeah, it's good. How's Des Moines? Is it growing? What's kind of the status there?
Yeah, being 2 hours away from it, I'm a bit out of touch. As as far as I know, all is well
Yeah, good.
there. It's been a year since I went and I spoke there, and always a lovely community to be a part of.
Yeah,
And so, yeah,
cool.
good things happening, good things growing in Iowa. There's
Yeah.
rich soil here.
Oh, absolutely there is. A lot of corn. I love it. Absolutely. Well, again, Jennifer, thank you so much. Best of luck with everything. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you, Joe. Now, will you, well,